Padmé studied the holocrons she had secretly obtained from Coruscant's archives. Each one revealed a thread of deception, carefully woven by Chancellor Palpatine over years. He had manipulated both sides of the Clone Wars, engineered the Jedi's mistrust, and positioned himself to seize ultimate power. Her pulse quickened as the scope of the betrayal sank in. She knew she could not act alone. The Jedi were suspicious of politics, and Anakin remained blind to his master's schemes. Padmé considered the danger. Exposing Palpatine would make her a target. Yet the Republic's future and countless lives depended on the truth. She resolved to take the risk. At the next Senate session, Padmé prepared her speech. Senators murmured as she stood, composed but determined. "Chancellor Palpatine has deceived us all," she declared. "The war, the fear, the emergency powers, none of it is what he claims. He manipulates both the Republic and the Jedi to seize control." The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted, some in disbelief, others in outrage. Security droids moved to contain the chaos. Palpatine's expression remained calm, almost amused, as he surveyed the upheaval. His voice cut through the din. "Calm yourselves, senators. The Republic's enemies are at our gates. We must remain united." Padmé's revelation sparked immediate suspicion and debate. Jedi envoys arrived, uncertain whether to intervene or investigate further. Allies looked to her, torn between fear and hope. Palpatine's loyalists began plotting retaliation, while whispers of rebellion spread through the corridors of power. Even Anakin hesitated, torn between love, loyalty, and the dark pull he could not yet see. Padmé stepped down, heart racing, knowing her choice had set a chain of events that could destroy or save the galaxy. Her message had been heard, but the cost was unknown. Shadows moved in the Senate chamber, and Palpatine's true counterstrike was already forming. The Chancellor smiled quietly behind his desk. "So, the Naberi dares to defy me," he whispered. Outside the chamber, a storm of war and betrayal gathered, and Padmé felt the first ripple of danger brushing against her life. Padmé stepped into the grand office of Chancellor Palpatine, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. "I know what you've done," she said, eyes locked on his calm, calculating gaze. "The war, the lies, the manipulation, you've deceived the entire Republic." Palpatine's lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "Brave, Senator, but courage can be dangerous when wielded without understanding." He leaned back, letting the weight of the office and his presence fill the room. "You believe you hold power, but power is an illusion." Padmé's hands trembled, but she did not falter. "If the Republic continues like this, countless lives will be lost. You have to stop this madness, or I will expose you to the Senate." For a moment, the room was still. Palpatine's eyes narrowed, a shadow of anger flickering behind his calm demeanor. "Expose me?" he said, voice low. "Do you understand the forces you challenge?" She did. She understood fear, manipulation, and death, but also hope. "I will not let you destroy everything we've built." Her words were firm, unshaken. Palpatine rose slowly, moving closer. "Then you leave me no choice," he said. His hand hovered over a hidden control panel. Alarm lights blinked faintly. Warning systems activated. Padmé realized the stakes, every second, could be her last. The air seemed to thicken with tension, and the faint hum of distant battleships outside the office reminded her of the war that Palpatine had engineered. Anakin's voice echoed in her memory, torn between loyalty and love. She had to act, but the Chancellor's trap was closing faster than she could anticipate. Last lines. Palpatine's shadow fell over her as the office doors sealed. "So, the Naberi believes she can defy destiny," he whispered. Outside, the galaxy held its breath, and Padmé's next move would ignite consequences no one could yet predict. The Senate chamber was tense, a wave of murmurs rolling through the crowd like distant thunder. Padmé stepped forward, voice steady despite the quake in her hands. "Chancellor Palpatine has deceived us all," she declared. "He has manipulated the war, the Jedi, and the Republic itself to seize power." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Senators rose, shouting over one another, some angry, some fearful. Security droids moved to form barriers, but the momentum of outrage could not be contained. Palpatine remained seated, a mask of calm on his face. "Calm yourselves, senators," he said smoothly. "The Republic faces enemies at every turn. We must not let panic destroy us from within." Padmé's allies tried to rally support, but the panic spread too quickly. Voices clashed with voices, accusations ricocheted, and old grudges surfaced. Loyalists defended Palpatine, denouncing the claims as lies. Others demanded investigation, calling for the Jedi to intervene. Outside, whispers of rebellion grew, and word of the exposure reached distant systems. Jedi envoys arrived, uncertain whether to act or observe. Anakin stood at the edge of the chamber, torn between his love for Padmé and his bond to the Chancellor. Fear, doubt, and loyalty collided inside him, making him hesitate at the moment when action was most critical. Palpatine's eyes swept the chamber, calculating every reaction. His schemes were unraveling faster than he intended, yet his control remained terrifyingly intact. As chaos consumed the Senate, Padmé realized that revealing the truth was only the beginning. The war, the manipulation, and the betrayal were far from over, and the galaxy itself teetered on the edge of collapse. Last lines. A single blaster shot rang out in the distant corridor, echoing like a warning. Senators froze. Padmé's heart leapt. Someone was ready to strike, and the conflict she had ignited was about to become deadly. The Jedi Council convened in urgent session, their chambers echoing with tension. Master Yoda spoke first, voice low but firm. "Danger grows, not only in war, but in hearts of senators. We must tread carefully." Mace Windu's expression was grim. "Padmé's revelation changes everything. The Republic is fractured. If we act too quickly, we appear as conspirators. Too slowly, and Palpatine regains control." Meanwhile, Anakin Skywalker paced outside the council chambers, thoughts racing. He loved Padmé, feared the Chancellor, and trusted the Jedi, but the lines were blurred. Could he intervene without betraying someone he once called Master? In the Senate, whispers of rebellion spread like wildfire. Delegates debated alliances, some demanding immediate action, others fearing civil war. Jedi envoys were dispatched to secure key senators, defuse violence, and gather intelligence. Every move had consequences. One wrong step could spark open conflict. Padmé worked behind the scenes, coordinating with sympathetic senators, but her position was perilous. Loyalists plotted against her, and Palpatine's subtle manipulations made allies question loyalty and motive. Reports of armed protests reached the Jedi. Clone battalions stationed near key sectors were on alert, but the Council hesitated to intervene without a clear threat. Every decision risked the balance of power. Anakin's inner conflict grew, and the Council sensed it. Yoda's eyes lingered on him, worried that the young Jedi might act impulsively. As night fell over Coruscant, the political battlefield had shifted. No lightsabers had yet clashed, but tension crackled in every corridor, every chamber, every whisper. A comm relay buzzed urgently in the council chambers. "Master Skywalker, Senator Naberi is in danger. The Loyalists are moving." Anakin's heart clenched. The first true strike of the Chancellor's counterattack had begun. Palpatine rose from his desk, the calm mask of the Chancellor replaced by calculated intensity. "The Republic is under threat. he declared to loyal senators over secure comm channels. "Enemies walk among us. Those who oppose me risk the safety of every world, every citizen." His words spread like wildfire. Panic and doubt fueled the loyalists' rally. Senators who had hesitated now called for unity, invoking fear of rebellion, civil unrest, and separatist uprisings. Palpatine's deception was subtle, but effective. He reframed Padmé's revelation as treachery, making truth itself a dangerous weapon. Padmé worked tirelessly to counteract the narrative, speaking directly to key delegates and coordinating with sympathetic allies. But the Chancellor's influence was deep. Misinformation and subtle threats sapped support at every turn. The Jedi moved cautiously, sensing that intervention too soon could be catastrophic. Master Windu warned, "He does not fear us yet. He fears nothing except loss of control, and he controls more than we know." Anakin struggled with his own doubt. His loyalty pulled him toward Palpatine, yet his love for Padmé and trust in the Jedi pulled him the other way. Every choice carried consequences, and hesitation could mean disaster. Outside the Senate chamber, security forces aligned with Palpatine began mobilizing. Communications were monitored, dissenters tracked, and loyalists armed. The political battlefield had become a war of manipulation, with invisible weapons far more deadly than any lightsaber. Even as Padmé prepared her next move, Palpatine's shadow loomed larger, unseen but palpable, threatening to consume every effort to save the Republic. In the dim corridors of the Senate, a coded transmission flickered to life. "All units, prepare to secure the Chancellor at any cost." Padmé froze. Palpatine's counterstrike had begun, and the Republic teetered on the edge of open civil war. Anakin paced the corridors of the Jedi Temple, mind racing. Padmé's warnings echoed in his memory. Palpatine was a manipulator, a shadow that sought to corrupt everything he loved. Yet the Chancellor's words lingered too, promises of power, of the ability to protect those he cared about, of preventing loss before it came. Master Windu's voice was firm in his mind. "Do not let anger guide you, Anakin. Fear and attachment are weapons of the dark." But attachment was his anchor, and Padmé's life, her courage, pressed on his conscience with unbearable weight. He remembered her in the Senate chamber, standing alone, fearless. She had risked everything to expose the truth. Every instinct screamed to protect her. Yet Palpatine had shown him visions of what could be lost if he faltered. Padmé, the Republic, even the Jedi. The conflict burned within him, twisting loyalty into a choice between love and duty. Each step toward Padmé brought guilt and uncertainty. Each thought of the Chancellor brought temptation, the seductive idea that he could control fate itself. In the shadows of the temple, Anakin paused. The Force whispered of danger, of consequences he could not yet foresee. His hands clenched at his sides, knuckles white, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and longing. He knew that any decision he made now would ripple outward, shaping the galaxy in ways he could not undo. Allies waited, enemies plotted, and Padmé's trust rested squarely on his next move. Last lines. A holocom flickered to life, Palpatine's voice smooth and commanding. "Anakin, destiny calls, and only you can answer." The choice loomed, and the young Jedi felt the first true pull toward a darkness he could not yet resist. Reports arrived at the Senate in waves. Systems that once followed the Republic were declaring neutrality, while others pledged loyalty to Palpatine. Senators argued violently, accusing each other of betrayal, and the once unified council began to fracture. Padmé moved quickly, seeking allies among those still committed to truth. But even her closest friends hesitated under the pressure of fear. Palpatine's loyalists seized the opportunity. Security forces loyal to him secured key starports and communications hubs. The Chancellor framed his actions as necessary for survival, claiming that only he could protect the Republic from internal collapse. Many systems fearful of chaos and retribution, aligned with him, tipping the balance of power. The Jedi were stretched thin. Envoys raced from system to system, attempting to mediate disputes, prevent massacres, and maintain the fragile rule of law. Master Windu warned, "The Republic is no longer just a government. It is a battlefield of trust and fear." Anakin remained conflicted, torn between loyalty to Padmé and the pull of Palpatine's promises. His hesitation slowed the Jedi's response, leaving them vulnerable to sudden attacks orchestrated by Palpatine's loyalists. Amid the turmoil, whispers of separatist resurgence grew louder. Systems that had hidden under Republic protection began arming themselves, calculating their own advantage in the fractured galaxy. Old rivalries and grudges ignited, making allies of yesterday into enemies of today. As alliances shifted, the war became unpredictable, violent, and deeply personal. No strategy could account for the fast-changing loyalties and the chaos spreading like wildfire across star systems. Last lines. A transmission from an outer rim world arrived, urgent and garbled. "Senator Naberry, under attack, requesting immediate aid." Padmé's eyes widened. Palpatine's reach had already struck, and the war's new balance threatened to destroy everything she fought to protect. The chamber of the Senate had become a war zone of strategy, words, and subtle threats. Padmé stood at the center, her presence commanding but vulnerable, flanked by loyal senators and Jedi guardians. Palpatine's expression remained calm, yet his eyes burned with quiet calculation. "Step down, Senator Naberry," he said smoothly. "Your actions threaten order, peace, and stability." "I will not," Padmé replied, voice clear and unwavering. "The Republic deserves the truth, not your lies." Outside, clone battalions aligned with Palpatine moved into strategic positions. Jedi Masters quietly coordinated defense, lightsabers at the ready, knowing that any sudden move could ignite open conflict. Anakin hovered on the edge of the confrontation, torn between love, duty, and the seductive pull of the dark promises he could not ignore. The first shot rang out, not a blaster, but a shout, a misstep, a spark of chaos that ignited the room. Senators screamed, droids reacted, and Palpatine moved with deliberate precision, exploiting every flash of fear. Padmé called for calm, trying to preserve order, but the chamber erupted into a storm of motion and intent. Anakin's hand hovered over his lightsaber, the weight of choice heavy on him. Could he strike to protect Padmé and the Republic, or would hesitation seal a darker path? The Jedi flanked key senators, attempting to contain violence without escalating it further. Palpatine's loyalists countered, using fear and manipulation to hold their ground. In the chaos, the outcome remained uncertain. Every life, every alliance, every decision teetered on a knife edge. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. A blaster bolt struck a pillar near Padmé, sending debris across the floor. She ducked, heart pounding, as Anakin's gaze met hers. The final choice loomed, and the fate of billions hung in the balance.